Introduction. The importance of unlearning in a rapidly changing world. Intelligence is traditionally viewed as the ability to think and learn, but the ability to rethink and unlearn is arguably even more critical. We often fall victim to cognitive laziness, preferring the comfort of our old views over the difficulty of grappling with new ones. When disaster strikes, such as the Man Gulch wildfire where elite smoke jumpers perished because they refused to drop their heavy tools, it illustrates how clinging to old habits and assumptions can be fatal. The core premise of Think Again, by Adam Grant, is that we must develop the mental agility to constantly update our beliefs, open other people's minds, and build cultures that encourage lifelong learning. Part 1. Individual Rethinking, Updating Our Own Views. 1. The 4 mindsets. Preacher, prosecutor, politician, and scientist. When our opinions are challenged, we typically slip into one of 3 modes. We act as preachers to protect our sacred beliefs, prosecutors to prove other people wrong, or politicians to win the approval of an audience. The danger is that we become so focused on proving we are right that we never bother to rethink our own views. Mike Lazaridis, the brilliant creator of the BlackBerry, fell into this trap when he stubbornly refused to rethink his device's keyboard in the face of the iPhone's touchscreen, ultimately dooming his company. Strong tip: adopt the scientist mindset. Treat your strategy as a theory, your product as an experiment, and your opinions as hypotheses to be tested. Scientists do not let their ideas become ideologies. They lead with questions and actively search for reasons why they might be wrong. Point 2. Finding the sweet spot. Confident humility. When we lack competence, we often suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect, or Armchair Quarterback Syndrome, where our overconfidence blinds us to our own weaknesses. On the opposite end of the spectrum is Impostor Syndrome, where our competence exceeds our confidence. The ideal sweet spot is confident humility, having faith in your overall capability while maintaining enough doubt to question whether you have the right tools or solutions for the present problem. Strong tip: harness the benefits of doubt. Instead of letting imposter syndrome paralyze you, use it to put yourself in a beginner's mindset. Doubting your tools takes you off a pedestal, motivates you to work harder, and encourages you to seek out insights from others. Point 3. The joy of being wrong and constructive conflict. When our core beliefs are threatened, our brain's totalitarian ego steps in like a dictator to silence counterarguments and protect our self-image. To become great thinkers, we must learn to experience the joy of being wrong, recognizing that making a mistake means we have just learned something new. Furthermore, we must separate relationship conflict, personal, emotional clashes, from task conflict, constructive clashes about ideas. High-performing teams start with low relationship conflict but moderate task conflict, allowing them to debate decisions and rethink directions. Strong tip: build a challenge network. Don't just surround yourself with agreeable yes men. Seek out disagreeable people who are fearless about questioning the status quo. When engaging in task conflict, argue about how a solution would work rather than why you are right, which helps prevent emotional defend attack spirals. Strong tip: detach your opinions from your identity. Who you are should be based on your core values like fairness or excellence, not your specific beliefs. This buys you the flexibility to update your practices when better evidence emerges. Part 2. Interpersonal rethinking, opening other people's minds. 4. Debating as a dance, not a war. In a debate, trying to overwhelm your opponent with logic and data often backfires. A good debate is a dance, not a war. Expert negotiators and debaters succeed by finding common ground and asking genuine questions. When debate champion Harish Natarajan defeated IBM's Advanced Artificial Intelligence Project Debater, he didn't just pile on facts. He acknowledged valid points from the computer and posed questions that guided the audience to rethink their own assumptions. Strong tip: avoid argument dilution. Do not present a massive list of reasons to support your case. A weak argument dilutes a strong one. Present fewer, stronger points because giving too many reasons simply allows your opponent to shoot down the weakest one and dismiss your entire case. Strong tip: use the steel man. Instead of attacking a straw man, the weakest version of your opponent's case, acknowledge the steel man, the strongest version of their case. This signals that you are reasonable and motivates the other side to listen to you. 5. Destabilizing stereotypes and motivational interviewing stereotypes often calcify into prejudice because of group polarization, interacting only with people who share our extreme views. To break these boundaries, we can use counterfactual thinking. Black musician Daryl Davis successfully convinced members of the KKK to abandon their hatred by planting seeds of doubt and getting them to rethink how their beliefs were formed. We can also help people rethink deeply entrenched behaviors, like anti-vaccination stances, through motivational interviewing. Strong tip: practice motivational interviewing. You can rarely force someone to change. You must help them find their own motivation to change. Do this by asking open-ended questions, engaging in reflective listening, and affirming their freedom of choice. Resist the righting reflex, the urge to immediately fix their problems or preach the truth, and act as a guide rather than a commander. Part 3. Collective rethinking, creating communities of lifelong learners. 6. Complexifying charged conversations. When we discuss polarizing issues like climate change or gun control, we often fall victim to binary bias, simplifying a complex continuum into two extreme categories. Presenting these issues as a black and white battle actually prevents rethinking. Strong tip: showcase shades of gray. To depolarize difficult conversations, introduce complexity. Acknowledge caveats, limitations in the data, and contingencies, situations where an effect might change. When people see that a topic has many interrelated dilemmas rather than just two sides, they become less defensive, ask more questions, and are more willing to compromise. Point 7. Rewriting the textbook and building learning cultures. Education should teach students how to think, not just what to think. Traditional lectures often trigger the dumbstruck effect, turning students into passive receivers rather than active learners. Teachers should encourage active learning, embrace confusion, and promote multiple drafts of work. In the workplace, organizations must shift from performance cultures, where people hide mistakes to avoid punishment, to learning cultures. Strong tip: establish psychological safety. A learning culture thrives on psychological safety, which is a climate of trust where people can raise concerns without fear of reprisal. Leaders can build this by publicly sharing their own past mistakes and actively seeking constructive criticism. Strong tip: focus on process accountability. Do not judge decisions purely on outcomes. A good outcome based on a shallow process is just luck. Evaluate employees on how deeply they explored different options, encouraging them to run smart experiments rather than clinging to frozen best practices. 8. Escaping tunnel vision in life plans. From an early age, we are asked what we want to be when we grow up, which fosters identity foreclosure, settling prematurely on a sense of self and closing our minds to alternative paths. This leads to an escalation of commitment, where we sink years into careers or plans that make us miserable simply because we refuse to rethink our initial choices. Strong tip: schedule a life and career checkup. Just as you visit the doctor regularly, schedule a checkup on your life plans once or twice a year. Ask yourself how your aspirations have changed and whether it is time to pivot. Furthermore, stop chasing a static vision of happiness, which often leads to misery. Instead, pursue meaning by choosing paths where you can continuously learn and contribute to others. Conclusion. In conclusion, Think Again reveals that our success and growth depend less on the sheer power of our intellect and more on our willingness to update our beliefs. By shedding the defensive habits of preachers, prosecutors, and politicians, and adopting the curious, doubt-driven lens of a scientist, we can transform conflicts into dances of discovery. Complex problems like pandemics, climate change, and political polarization demand that we stay mentally flexible and acknowledge what we do not know. Ultimately, true wisdom is not about affirming our existing convictions. It is about having the confident humility to constantly rewrite our own mental textbooks and evolve our understanding of the world.